The former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has been arrested from his Zaman Park residence in Lahore, soon after being convicted in the Tosha Khana case. Now, according to the state media, Imran Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in prison for illegally selling off state gifts that he had received when he was the Prime Minister. Now, the former Prime Minister is currently being flown out of Lahore and he'll be taken to Rawalpindi's Adiala jail. A large crowd gathered in New York's Union Square Park and also in the nearby streets due to a giveaway event that was announced by the popular live streamer Sinat. Now, the situation turned chaotic with people throwing things, climbing onto buildings and also causing a lot of damage. Now, many people also were injured, including some police personnel and the bystanders. The scene was compared to the chaos at the Travis Scott concert. Now, the police eventually contained the crowd and set up barricades. 21-year-old Sinat has about 6.5 million followers on Twitch and 4 million subscribers on YouTube. He was named as the Streamer of the Year in 2022 at the Streamy Awards. The former American President Donald Trump has rejected the election plot charges as fake. Now, this has come a day after his arraignment in Washington, D.C. Now, Trump said that the indictment was actually an act of desperation by the Democrat President Joe Biden, who is targeting him for political reasons. Now, Trump also mocked Special Counsel Jack Smith, calling him deranged and a lost soul. The former president is facing 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, to deprive the citizens of their voting rights, and to obstruct an official proceeding. The most serious charge carries a maximum prison sentence of 20 years. Explosions have been reported near the Kerch Bridge that links the Crimean Peninsula to mainland Russia. Russian officials have said that the blasts were linked to a Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian tanker in the Kerch Strait. Russian media reports that a part of the tanker was damaged. Many military vloggers have reported that it was an oil tanker that was targeted. Russia's rescue service in the Black Sea has now been pressed into action. After the explosion, traffic was halted for some time on the bridge and it was again resumed. Now, Russia's installed officials in Crimea have said that the attack on the tanker has got nothing to do with the Kerch Bridge, which has been attacked at least twice in a very serious manner since the beginning of this war. Iran has drawn severe criticism from human rights groups from all around the world over its decision to execute the Iranian boxing champion Javad Wafisani. The 27-year-old boxer was arrested in early 2020 for taking part in a nationwide protest in 2019, which was sparked by a sudden rise in the price of fuel. The boxer was accused of incitement and of deliberate destruction of government buildings. Alexei Navalny, a Russian opposition politician, received an additional 19 years in high-security prison. Now, as per Navalny, the case aims to intimidate the people of Russia into submission. Navalny is already serving 11 years for alleged fraud, which a charge that he's termed as baseless. Now, unconfirmed Russian media reports say that Alexei Navalny, who's now 47 years old, will be 74 years old by the time that he can get out of prison in 2050. His political movement has been outlawed and has been declared as an extremist movement. The trial in his current prison dealt with 6 charges, including incitement and financing extremism and creating an extremist organization. Alexei Navalny, in fact, said in a statement on social media that he could be imprisonment for his life unless the current authorities are replaced. Now, Alexei Navalny has received 19 more years in high-security prison. Pope Francis led the Way of the Cross in Lisbon on the occasion of World Youth Day. The rite commemorating Jesus Christ's suffering and death is a significant part of the global Catholic Youth Festival. The 86-year-old Pope, wearing a white cassock, paused several times and kissed babies and encouraged love. Now, according to the local authorities, many national flags fluttered in the huge crowd of more than 8 lakh people. The crowd then watched solemnly as a group of 50 young people from more than 20 countries performed a 90-minute choreography which represented each stage of Jesus Christ's last moments before his crucifixion. A judge has granted Nicolas Petro, the eldest son of the Colombian President Gustavo Petro, conditional freedom. Now, Nicolas Petro faces money laundering and illicit enrichment charges connected to financing for his father's campaign. Now, Nicolas Petro was arrested last weekend in the city of Barranquilla with his ex-wife, who's also being held on similar charges. Now, according to the charges, Nicolas Petro had received the money from the accused drug traffickers in exchange for including them in the president's peace plans. He's pleaded not guilty, but has said that he will collaborate with prosecutors. Now, at least 3 more people have been killed and houses have been set on fire in some fresh violence that has again broken out in the Indian state of Manipur. Now, according to the police officials, sporadic incidents of violence and killings continue in the northeastern troubled state. And as per reports, the 3 people who were killed on Thursday night belong to the majority Meitei community in the state's Bishnupur district. A spokesperson for a Kuki civil society group has said that it did not have an immediate comment on the latest killings in the state. Now, so far, an estimated 180 people have been killed and over 60,000 people have been forced to flee from their homes since the violence erupted in Manipur. A state with 3.2 million population has been on the boil since the beginning of May. A small single-engined plane carrying several people has crashed as it was just about to take off at the North Perry Airport in Florida. At least 1 person is confirmed to have been killed and 2 others have sustained injuries. Local fire officials have said that 1 person was declared dead at the scene, while the others were rescued from the plane, although they've suffered some serious injuries. They've also said that a small fuel leak from the plane has now been contained, and according to reports, the Cessna 172P deviated from the runway as it was just about to take off. The Margaret Klein Salomon used to talk to politicians about the existential threat that is posed by climate change, and now she funds groups doing civil disobedience. She thinks that protests change policy and opinion more quickly. The Climate Emergency Fund, led by Salomon, has given $5 million to groups such as Extinction Rebellion. Some have criticized these protests, but Salomon believes that they actually work better than the past movements like civil rights. West Africa's regional bloc ECOWAS said on Friday that its military chiefs had agreed on a plan for a possible intervention in Niger. This after the bloc failed to restore civilian rule in the embattled nation following last week's military coup. The ECOWAS had earlier warned of military intervention if the now deposed President Mohamed Bazoum is not reinstated by tonight. Now, in a latest string of developments as the deadline approaches, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has reportedly sought permission from the Nigerian Senate to send Nigerian troops into neighboring Niger. He is also serving as ECOWAS's chairman at the moment. The American Secretary of State Antony Blinken engaged in a signing ceremony with the Mongolian Prime Minister and other officials. The Mongolian Prime Minister Luvsan Oyon visited Washington to strengthen the US-Mongolia ties. The visit is part of the Biden-Harris administration's focus on Indo-Pacific partnership. The event also emphasizes on trade, investment and strategic collaboration, and both countries share a commitment to democracy and a free Indo-Pacific. Now, according to the White House, the Mongolian Prime Minister's visit also celebrates the strategic third neighbor partnership between the United States and Mongolia. The South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has said that the World Scout Jamboree in Seoul will go on despite calls for it to be cancelled. But this announcement comes when large contingents from Britain have pulled out more than 4,000 scouts and has moved them into hotels. Now, thousands of British and American scouts began leaving the coastal campsite amidst a punishing heat wave. Now, the consecutive pullouts are a fresh blow to the organisers and the South Korean government, which have promised more water trucks, air-conditioned spaces and medics in an attempt to save the event. The gunfire echoed once more at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida as part of a reenactment of the deadly school shooting from 5 years ago that had claimed the lives of 14 students and 3 faculty members. And after the reenactment, the building is set to be demolished. It has retained much of its appearance since the 2018 shooting, including the visible bloodstains and the bullet holes. The restaging of the school shooting, which is dubbed as one of the deadliest in American history, was part of a civil lawsuit against Scott Peterson, a police officer who was stationed outside of the Parkland, Florida High School when the gunfire began on the 14th of February in 2018. The situation remains very tense in the North Indian state of Haryana. The authorities in the district of Nuh have now resorted to bulldozing about 250 shanties and other encroachments, claiming that some of its residents were involved in the violence that took place on the 31st of July. This is what the police claims. The police spokesperson has said that the clashes have drawn attention to the homes, and according to the authorities, the houses had been constructed on government land. The Haryana's Home Minister Anil Vij on Friday said that the state police has registered about 102 FIRs. He also added that more than 200 people have been arrested and 80 others have been detained for questioning. Now, crowds gathered to witness a giant rubber duck that is making a splash in Leonard Town. The inflatable duck, which stands at 61 feet, claims to be the world's largest duck and will be making the Leonard D town its home from the 4th of August until the 6th of August. Now, one rubber duck enthusiast exclaimed that it's a dream come true for him. Rescue operations intensify in northern China due to the worsening floods from Typhoon Doksuri. According to the state media, evacuations are underway in Zhuzhou, a city southwest of Beijing with over 6 lakh residents. Now, according to reports, at least about 130,000 people have been affected and at least 1/6 of the city is being evacuated as the floods have submerged pretty much half of the city. In Jilin, which is a corn-growing region, camps have been set up for over 12,000 people from the Shulan city, as it received over 19 inches of rainfall in a span of less than 3 days. The prolonged record-breaking rainfall has caused by Typhoon Doksuri since late July has resulted in a massive deluge, and it has disrupted the lives of millions of people across northern China. The Japan's southern Okinawa region braced for the return of Typhoon Hanun. It is just a few days after the storm had lashed the islands with heavy rains and winds. The typhoon had resulted in the deaths of 2 people and had injured dozens of others earlier in the week as it had passed through Okinawa. The storm has now made a U-turn and is expected to pass near Okinawa's northern Amami Island before heading north towards Japan's southern Kyushu region. Environmentalists have warned that the Brazilian Amazon could be in for a bad burning season. According to reports, despite a drop in deforestation this year, years of accumulated destruction and the arrival of El Nino could in fact turn swathes of the jungle into a tinderbox. The organization Greenpeace has spotted several fires in the world's largest rainforest, which is near the city of Porto Velho. The deforestation in Brazil's Amazon has dropped to nearly about 43% in the first 7 months of this year. And according to the preliminary government data, it has lauded President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's credibility as a voice for environmental conservation that has now, to a certain extent, brought down the burning of the Amazon.